I think I'd still rather play this as an Uncharted climbing simulator. Like
Where
Uncharted
you're just
games are,
jumping like a gibbon from like rock to rock.
hey, no backpack, just jumping jumping 12 feet straight up, whole body length and a half straight in the sky. Hello and welcome to another Dead Pixel, where a podcast about video games, anime, entertainment, life, a little bit of everything in between. I'm your host, as always, Joe, and with me is my co host, Nick. Nick, the question everyone wants to ask is on Friday the 13th, would you rather be chased by Jason Voorhees or would you rather go against Freddy Krueger?
Um, I feel like I could talk sports with Jason Voorhees. I don't really, know much about. I mean, I don't know much about hockey, but I feel like I could quick learn and I could say, hey, and like say, are you excited about the Olympics? Who are you rooting for in the hockey games? At least long enough for me to get away or for the police to arrive.
I'd say just long enough for him to swing the machete at you.
Yeah, I also think that Jason Voorhees is probably just going to kill me. Whereas I don't know what Freddy Krueger is going to do to me besides kill me. And I think kill me is the last thing that he's going to do. I feel like there are there are lines that would be crossed that would be very embarrassing for me in the police report. I mean, not that it would be my fault or whatever, but just like I just want people to remember me that way for whatever Freddie, because Freddie, God love him, but that guy is definitely into some weird stuff. You gotta know that.
Yeah, but the thing is, the way I look at it is he's in the dreamscape, and therefore he's completely screwed because he only has so much time to get at me because of the lack of sleep I always get. So
That's
I'm
why,
like,
that's why you don't
time.
sleep.
Yeah, well, it's just like, hey, tough luck, man. You only have so much time. I'll pencil you in when I can, but on the other hand, yeah, I don't have the stamina to outrun Jason, so I'm good. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah, I mean, like at least those guys. Well, I guess with Freddy Krueger, that dreams are his thing, right? So you can kind of escape him from that. Jason, I'm really not very familiar with Friday the 13th. That those are the movies that I have kind of experienced the least and have had pushed in front of me the least. Um, but like, so I don't really. I think it's pretty similar to like Michael Myers in Halloween, where he just sort of appears around the corner, and there's no explanation for how him walking that slow could catch up to you. Um,
it's
but
because you tripped over everything.
he tripped over everything. I guess that does happen a lot. Yeah, I don't know. So if he has the same power as Michael Myers, then yeah, that's gonna be a problem. But I still take my chances with Jason Voorhees because of the sports thing. It's just kind of universal man code.
All right. Well, let's see here. We just recently had a Sony State of Play, and you took the effort to write down pretty much almost everything that was listed.
I tr-
We're gonna go ahead and talk about what we find is most important, and just quickly gloss over everything else.
Pretty much, yeah. So I guess to start, I would say that that didn't think this was the best state of play ever, but I think for February, the month that we're in now, I think it's fine, and I think that it's way better than what Nintendo had with. I mean, that was a partner direct, so I guess it's kind of a punch that they're pulling there, but still. I definitely thought this had a lot more meat to it, and I would have rather Nintendo wait until they could kind of give a little bit more or put a little bit more meat on the bone. But that's neither here nor there. Um, so first up, they opened the state of play with Kana Scars of Cosmora. So there's a game that came out, which we did not have pronounced it back when it came out, but it's pronounced Cana. That's what the developers came on and said. But Cana, I think it was Bridge of Spirits, came out in 2021, and it was a kind of a newer PS5 game, and it was pretty, and I heard that it was all right, um, and but it was fairly short, like 10 or so hours, and I just never really had occasion to play it. But I was glad to see that it's getting a sequel. They're trying to make some sort of franchise out of it, and it looks good. It's a nice looking game. So probably not something that I'm going to, knock people over to try to play. But if there's a bit of a lull whenever it comes out, I don't remember when it comes out, but if there's a lull when it comes out, I might try to get it. And I was like, okay, this actually looks pretty good at least.
Yeah. Once again, first game came out, and I don't think I had a PlayStation 5 at the time. But also, I'm like, okay, it's a nice little, character action platformer.
Yeah.
Okay, it's nice that they came out with a new one instead of, rehashing an old IP.
Yeah, that's the thing is like at least it's kind of new IP, and it does look like it's maybe more of a little bit more of a kids kind of game, but yeah, it looks all right.
Well, it's number two, so this is going to be the dark, edgier sequel, right?
Yeah,
That's the way they go with Ubisoft games. I
I,
feel,
I'm expecting. I did hear that there was like kind of a twist in the first one. I don't really remember exactly what though. I think I could 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 say what it is, but anyway, yeah, she's probably going to turn evil or have her hand cut off or something like that. But yeah. So next up, they mentioned Ghost of Yote Legends. So I never really played any of the Legends stuff in the first game, but basically it's the multiplayer component, like a multiplayer add-on, where you can play, I think, up to four people, and you go in and you fight an enemy. But yeah, so it seems like the same sort of thing, and I don't really know much more about it. I was wondering if you tried Legends in the old game.
I did play a little bit, not a whole lot. It kind of was when I was already done with Yote, and then they came out with it later. Much like this, actually, the timing. I wish they kind of came out with a little sooner. I do like the fact that with Ghost of Yote Legends, they're playing with the whole the Yote 6, and giving them their like beast version of what they're supposed to be.
Yeah.
So the spider, and stuff like that. So hey, guess what? You get to fight a real monster spider. And then at the very end, it looks like they dropped in a little hint or suggestion for maybe Jin Sakai coming back. Um, Talking about, like, like even something around after death or something like that. So, and it looked like it could have been his silhouette or in shadow. So that'd be kind of neat.
Yeah,
Hoping that.
yeah, because like the legend stuff is sort of like kind of based around the storyteller, right? That was sort of what
Yeah.
I got in the first one. So it's like, well, you're telling a story. That means it's from a long time ago, which would be when Jin Sakai was still alive, maybe. So yeah, they could definitely have a tie in there and do callbacks for the little bit of nostalgia baiting for the players of the first game. But yeah, it seems like it'll be pretty good. Um,
Yeah.
Next up, they mentioned Death Stranding 2 upgrades. I didn't see anything about the ending being upgraded, so I'm out. But anyway, it does look like I kind of skipped through some of this, but it does look all right. There's different things. I forgot what all they said, but they have different like fidelity upgrades, and I think something with the music or something or other. So yeah, if you like Death Stranding 2, then you can play it again with it upgraded somehow.
All right.
Okay, moving right along. Um, Next up, I forget which developer this was from, but they announced a little game called For Loop. I think the written uh, name is 4 colon loop, but basically it's a tactical four-player co-op sci-fi roguelike shooter. If you need a few more buzzwords, I'm sorry, I'm fresh out, but yeah, it doesn't really seem to be up my alley, but it looks like it might be fun if you're already into those kind of games. Um, it seems like it has some kind of a like a weird like the sci-fi aspects of it are the most interesting to me, just at the face of it. But I don't know how good the loop is actually going to be.
Yeah, so this is by Bad Robot Games. So yeah,
That was
they
it.
it's which is weird because you're like you're coming out and this is what you're coming out with. So I don't know. I'm really curious, but I'm also not really expecting a whole lot.
Yeah, it doesn't really look like it's going to grab me, but um, multiplayer people will probably at least want to try it. Next up, they just I just combined these because they just had another trailer for Pragmata and another trailer for Resident Evil 9. Um, so you and I are both fully in, I think, on both these games. RE9 is about to come out literally in 2 weeks, so it's like I don't really need to see any more of that because we're getting into spoiler territory at this point. So it's just like whatever. But anyway, they did kind of show some more of those. Next up, Legacy of Kain Defiance remastered. So this was a PS2 game, I think. I don't remember when it actually came out originally, but they've remastered it, and it's coming out. It looks pretty good. I mean, it doesn't look like a game that I would really want to play because I never played those games. But if you want to relive that, then there it is. You can do that once again.
Yeah, they also, so with this, they actually not a part of the state of play, but they just also announced a new Legacy of Kain, like 2.5D side scroller, I guess. So it was kind of unique because it just like stealth dropped it. Legacy of Kain, Ascendance, and yeah, it's supposed to be coming out at the end of March. That's listed on Steam, and it's just kind of unique that this is the way they're going. They're going with an old school, like 16-bit ish style gameplay. Legacy Kane games have been uh, they're a cult classic. They were really unique for the storytelling and the lore at the time, and I knew a lot of people who were heavily invested. And of course, they just kind of left it open ended. The sequel never came for Defiance, and so that's why a lot of people are really upset. I think with this, they also talked about there being like a build for that game that never came out, so you can like somehow check it out. So I thought that was unique. Um, but once again, it's they did come out with the Soul Reaver remake, and so I think that's kind of hot off that they're like, yeah, we got a really good reception, and so it warranted them to come out with the Legacy of Kain. If this does well, who knows? Maybe you'll get a real sequel. I also kind of feel like who is this for? Because most of the people who have a fondness for it probably are not going to be happy like with anything else that comes out after. It's a Duke Nukem Forever situation. Um, yeah, I don't know. But as far as coming back out with an old classic, making it playable and for preservation's sake, kind of like yeah, that's cool. I'm all right with that.
Yeah, yeah, it is sort of like, who really is this for? It wasn't that gigantic of a franchise. It's definitely a very cold franchise. So, but I still hope it's a good game. And I'm happy for anybody that enjoys it. Next up, Brigadine Abyss. So this is anime look, has an anime look to it, but it's a fantasy war strategy RPG. Um, it it looks okay. It looks like some of like some of the assets and stuff like that don't really grab me, and it looks like the story may be a little bit standard to really entice me, but I do like me some strategy RPGs. So I'm gonna keep an eye on it, but I can't imagine that I'm really gonna reach out and try to play this.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think this franchise already exists, and so this is just another one in the franchise. I don't know much about it, so I mean, if it gives it, you know, it's kind of hard to go against Fire Emblem at this point. They kind of own the monopoly on it. So if anything tries to challenge it, I'm okay. You know, it's good to have an alternative out there.
Yeah, they've had a couple different kind of strategy RPGs in the past 5 years or so. Some of them a lot of them have weird names. Some of them do pretty well, or seem to be all right. But yeah, I'm always looking for. I always like to see more in the space, but um, it's a hard genre to get right. I think it's very easy to mess that up. Next up, Dead or Alive 6 last round. I don't remember what all this entailed, but basically this is like a last update for Dead or Alive 6. Um, they also mentioned the Dead or Alive 30th anniversary is here apparently, um, and then I don't know if that was in conjunction with that or something, but they also mentioned that a new game is in development, um, which I guess makes sense. Remember when DOA 6 came out, everybody was like kind of disgusted by the microtransactions because they were numerous and really expensive. It was just clearly like a whale hunting game, pretty much. Um, and I don't think that the fighting in it was particularly amazing. I don't think it was bad, but I don't really remember. Um, but yeah, so that's coming. And yeah, 30 years, man, 30 years of DOA. I remember when the original one, I'm pretty sure it was the original, came out on Xbox. That was like it was like Halo and Dead or Alive was like the two games to get for Xbox. There's probably something else like Crazy Taxi or something like that, but I remember those two games were like, man, if I had an Xbox, those are the two games that I would definitely have.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of curious what the complete package is for like DOS 6 plus all the DLC because it'd probably be astronomical. It's quite egregious with the costumes and stuff like that because average costume is just a couple bucks, but multiplied by how many characters the it's Japan really kind of went overboard on this, but it seems to have kept them afloat this long. So maybe they did something right in as far as their bottom line. So I don't
Yeah,
know. It's
I
kind of
don't
messed up.
I don't know of too many Japanese companies that have really gone quite this hard. At least not in the mainstream video game space. Probably the phone game space. There's plenty, but yeah, I imagine there's probably been discounts and stuff. I don't know how active this game really is, but it's. I mean, it came out a while ago, and I imagine if they're making a new one that it's been fairly active, has had a fairly active fan base and player count this all this time, and we're probably just waiting for it to kind of die down a bit. Maybe I don't know, but yeah. Next up, Control Resonant. They showed some more gameplay from this. They showed a couple different things, some bit more of the environment, combat in general, but they showed it just after the character has gained the ability called Shift, which allows Dylan, the character, to move through gravity anomalies. So he can kind of like go to a wall and then like jump and like kind of glue onto that. And like that's like the new gravity is like against that wall, so on and so forth. So it
It's
looked.
Gravity Rush. It is
I
exactly
was
the
saying I was thinking Gravity Rush, yeah, but like the combat looks pretty good. I just wanted to know what you thought about it.
yeah. I mean it looked all right from what I saw. Not a lot of enemies shown, and it didn't really. It was it wasn't, like, up and close, like, the camera was really close to Jesse Faden, so this one was a little bit more pulled back. Uh, I'm I'm interested. The the combat style may not be the for me, I guess, but I trust that they'll do some unique stuff with the perspective and the story is where it's at. So I'm really just wanting to stick around for the story. Hopefully, I mean, to be fair, Control was a fun game, but also not the most complex shooter.
Right.
So there's if this can just so long as this is a competent action game but has the great lore behind it, then I'm all on board.
Okay. Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. I trust Remedy. Um, despite FBC Firebreak, I think that was an anomaly. And they have scapegoated the guy that they wanted to. So I can feel better about that, I guess. But yeah, I think that this looks good. This looks good enough where I don't have any fears that have been stoked or anything like that. I think that the combat looks fine and fun, and that the different kind of things that they're doing some kind of gravity rush type thing, cool. And I know the story is going to continue along, or I'm pretty sure the story is going to continue along the path that has been set by Control and by Alan Wake 2. So I'm excited. I'm definitely excited.
Yep.
Next up, a Crimson Moon. This is a gothic high renaissance action adventure RPG. Um, yeah, it's got a flashy aesthetic. It's kind of like sort of like a maximalist sort of style. A lot of bright colors, highly kind of saturated, but still somehow brooding. Um, so yeah, it seems all right. Doesn't seem like something I want to go out of my way to play, but it seems okay. Okay,
Yeah, it's I didn't
that's
remember this at all, to be honest.
that's
Just straight up trying to think about it, I'm like, I can't remember this at all.
that's the correct reaction. But yeah, it seems like it'll be okay. It doesn't seem bad or anything, but just it's like I don't really didn't see anything that made me really just jump out of my seat. Next up, we got a release date for Beast of Reincarnation. I don't remember if this had already been mentioned, but the release date that they show here is August 4th, 2026. So we did see a couple of different August dates in this showcase, and I think August and September probably the safest dates before you're starting to get dragged into the gravity well that is GTA 6. And nobody wants to be anywhere near that, which is in November. But I think even October, like you don't want to, because like these August dates, you have room to slip. If you need to slip 2 weeks, 4 weeks, even 8 weeks, you can without, you know, falling onto the sword of GTA 6. So just something that I noticed. Um, they show a little bit about Rayman 30th anniversary. Never been a big Rayman player, but yeah, another 30th anniversary there. Um, next up, they show I spelled this wrong. Mina the Hollower. Um, this is planned for spring 2026, so we should be getting a date for this here soon. An actual day for it. This is the developers of Shovel Knight Yacht Club Games, and I think as of the showcase, they said that the demo would be available tomorrow, which means that it's available now, so you can go play this kind of game. It's a 2D. I think they said it was a 2D love letter to handheld games. But it's a nice look if you're into that, and it looks, and I imagine it'll be competent, very competent if it's the makers of Shovel Knight.
Yeah, it does look really good, and it does feel everything about it looks like an old traditional like GB like Game Boy
Yeah.
OG game. Like it's I'm probably going to assume that they're going to do some extra stuff to it. Make it. I'm wondering what kind of tricks. I just wonder if it's going to catch on like Shovel Knight did, where Shovel Knight's in like everything under the sun. They made such a memorable mascot. I just don't see this person, this character being as uh, I don't know, sellable. I guess is the best way to
Yeah.
put it.
It's
Shovel Knight was such a novelty too, because no one expected to come out. They took such a weird, obscure game mechanics, the pogo, mechanics and just kind of ran with it. So
Yeah, and Shovel Knight probably did a little bit too well, to be honest, because there was a lot of DLC. It was just sort of a game that just sort of seemed to last forever, and then he was in everything, and it's like, oh, okay, I know that you want to, kind of make as much money as you can off of this thing, but it, I'm glad that they decided to move on finally. I'm actually much more likely to jump in on this, um, but yeah, it looks all right. Next up, Neva. Uh, there is some prologue DLC that's coming out here soon. I don't remember when they said that was coming. I don't think there's an actual date yet. But Neva was a game that I wanted to play. I think it came out late 2024, and I missed it. I still want to play it. I don't think it's particularly long because it's from the same people that did Grease, which was a short and sweet, kind of artsy game. Neva seems pretty similar, but the prologue DLC they're putting out uh, it seems like more of that, but it's not going to affect the main story. So yeah, um, uh, that looks pretty nice. Next up, there's a Yako Shinobi Ops. This is a 1 to 4 player co-op isometric tactical stealth action game. So I like that it's 1 to 4 player because it means you don't have to play with other people. But it's it reminds me of what is the game that this reminds me of?
is
Shogun.
it Tenchu? Oh no, oh Shogun. Okay, you're talking about the one they mentioned just recently that they were remaking for uh uh Switch, right? They
That's
just
right.
talked about the Switch event.
Yeah,
Uh, that's been around for
like
ages.
Blades of the Shogun or Shogun Blade Tactics, something like that. It reminds me of that. I don't think that they're really all that similar, but for some reason I was like, that just kind of looks like that, but closer, but the camera closer to the character, um, to me. But anyway, it looks okay. Um, I'm gonna keep an eye on this one. I don't think it's gonna be anything I'm gonna want to really move on, but I'm gonna keep an eye on it, and if it turns out to be good,
So this is actually, it's a new title from the original development team behind Tenchu, so the old PlayStation series. So being stealthy ninjas, but now with a twist because those were all third person stealth games.
right.
So yeah, I'm kind of curious about it. I remember playing a lot of, I think it was Tenchu 2 and 3 uh, forever ago, and it was kind of a neat, game, but I think this is I don't know, chances are, to be honest, I'm probably not gonna get around to playing it. It
No,
looks really cool though, and I do just really like the simplicity of, your uh the cone of vision, and how everything's just very easy to tell, like this is your area and stuff like that. So the lore, the whole scene, it might be really interesting, but I honestly just don't know if I'm gonna get around to it.
no. There's only so much time, and it looks okay, but I'm gonna have to see and hear better things before I really jump in. Um,
Right.
Next up, Project Windless. I just wrote down that it looks like Dynasty Warriors, but you're a bird. I don't know what the actual description should be. Um, and I don't think we did see some gameplay. But basically, you're a birdman rather. So you're like a birdman, and you have a weapon, and you're fighting hordes of enemies. And then there's like a lady that vaguely has like snake
So
skin.
this is by Crafton. This is based off of South Korean fantasy novels known as The Bird That Drinks Tears. Um,
Oh yeah.
so this is kind of off of an existing IP. Um, yeah, I was kind of like surprised by it because um, what if Foghorn Leghorn was jacked? I guess.
Yeah,
Um,
Yeah. Don't f with Foghorn Leghorn. Yeah. So it definitely looks all right. But it looks like a kind of an upgrade of the Dynasty Warriors games to me. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what the ultimate gameplay is really going to be like, but you are kind of fighting hordes of enemies and kind of a bit of a maybe power fantasy, but looks okay. Um, Next up, probably three quick hits here maybe. Star Wars Galactic Racer, racing game, but Star Wars. Okay. And then they showed a bit more of 007 First Light. This kind of goes into that Pragmata Resident Evil zone where it's like, yep, we get it. Just put it out. I'm ready to play it. And I'll definitely be playing that. I think the day for it is that May? Is that May of this year?
I honestly forget when it was supposed to be coming out. I just assume it's going to be pushed. So that's kind of my gut reaction.
Maybe it was March. I can't remember. I remember March was getting kind of crowded. Anyway, and then Metal Gear Solid Master Collection Volume 2. They show a bit of that, and then they showed that the release date for that is August 27, 2026.
Yeah, so the important part about this one is it's the first time since the PlayStation 3 that Metal Gear Solid 4 has finally been able to be purchased again.
Okay.
And so that's kind of a great thing for, like I mentioned before, with the other game, preservation wise. A lot of people haven't been able to play that. Um, was it Metal Gear Solid? Snake Eater or Delta came out and did pretty well. So it's you got a remake of the old one, and now you have finally be able to play the last game in the series. Story wise, timeline wise, they came out. They have the Peace Walker, which was the PSP game, if I remember correctly. It was either PSP or Vita, but I think it was PSP, which was okay. Like, it was surprisingly okay. And then Ghost Babel, which was the like Game Boy Color game, if I remember. So that's kind of wild, and it was surprisingly competent as well. So,
Okay.
um, it's kind of a weak like collection, as it were, but it's you're mainly getting it for four, because I think they've had Peace Walker available digitally, as well. Not touched up at all. But to have these, done a little bit nicer, that's great.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. And then hot on the heels of that announcement, they mentioned Darwin's Paradox. So it's like a stealth octopus game, I think. But they have a it's also by Konami, and they have a Metal Gear Solid skin demo kind of where you're going through Metal Gear Solid stuff, but as the octopus. Um, and I don't know when that demo is coming out, but I think that the Darwin's Paradox, the game, release date is April 2nd, 2026. Um, so that was one that I did think was pretty interesting, and I might try to jump out and get that. Doesn't look like it'll be a very long game, which so that's kind of good in terms of time commitment. But yeah,
Yeah, them making an homage to the Shadow Moses and stuff like that, and showing, um, the whole like Metal Gear and stuff like that. It's silly, it's stupid. It's fun that they're having a neat collaboration like that. I think it's the right kind of stupid.
all right, kind of stupid, indeed. Okay, and then next up, Castlevania, new Castlevania game, Castlevania Belmont's Curse. Looks like a kind of an old school 2D side scrolling or 2.5D side scrolling, um, action game. So, yeah, I have never been too much into the Castlevania games. I kind of missed a lot of those. But this one looks like it'll be pretty competent at the very least.
Yeah, I mean, it's going back to this try and true formula. There's probably going to be nothing wrong with it. I mean, it'll probably just be just as solid as you expected.
Yeah, yeah. Um, and then after that, this one I found to be kind of interesting. Uh, Announcement for a new game, Silent Hill Townfall, um, which I think I did remember hearing that this was in existence, but I don't remember. I think it was just like an article or something like that. But so basically, you play as a guy that wakes up in the water, and it's he's in a town. It's not called Silent Hill. I forget what the name of the town actually was. But it is
It's
still
Saint Amalia, I think it was Saint Amalia.
okay.
So
Yeah, I thought it was a saint to start, but yeah. So Saint Amalia or Amalia or whatever. Um, but it is in the Silent Hill universe. And it seems like it has a little bit different gimmick. There is a piece of technology that you use, some kind of like a sensor, ghost sensor or whatever. So that seems to be part of it. It looks okay. It doesn't look like there's going to be too much to it, but it looks all right. And I just I'm proud of Konami for. I think they might be putting out a few too many Silent Hill games still, but I'm proud of them for taking a bit more care with it because these games at least look all right. Whereas some of the criticism of Konami in the past was that they sort of just threw the IP under the bus after the third or maybe even the fourth Silent Hill game of the original series. That they just started kind of printing them out, and a lot of people didn't like the ones after three really much at all. They have their defenders, but mostly people are like, yeah, they didn't really try very hard. These at least they don't seem to be very big, but they seem like they're being careful with them at least.
yeah, so the part of the gimmick for this one is you're using an old TV receiver. Um, so it's like a radio TV, handheld antenna, and it's supposed to be in 1996. It's supposed to be in Scotland. So, as far as the location, very different from Silent Hills in the past.
Yeah.
Um, so it's, the greater Silent Hill universe, I guess. The fog connects them all. There's always a fog, I guess. Just like there's always a lighthouse. I'm not sure how they're gonna play with that. It looks like the main character, significant other, or is probably, uh, I think they probably went through cancer. It seems because they showed like
Mm.
um, an IV drip or something, or they showed some sort of syringe, like needle and tubing coming from them, like whatever creature it was. I could be way off about what exactly their illness is, but yeah, and it's supposed to be first person again. They showed some first person combat. Uh, you know, so I'm not really sure to what extent it's going to be, uh, you know, action oriented, but they did show action. So fingers crossed, it's going to be good.
Yeah. Yeah. Looks like it'll at least be all right. Next up, anime game Rev Noir. I didn't write anything down about what this game is actually about. Um, I don't remember it being particularly good or bad or anything like that. It's on a showcase. It's probably not that bad. But yeah, so I didn't really know anything about this game.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't have much more information than you do. It's just, uh, you know, JRPG. It's the best my guess.
Oh, that's it. Yeah.
Uh, so if you want that, then yeah, here's a new one for you. The logo shows someone screaming in the rain. So yeah, lots of angst, I guess.
Okay. Okay. Angsty JRPG. All right, next up, Untitled John Wick game. They just showed a CG trailer. I was kind of like, um, okay. I mean, the CG looks fine. If the gameplay is something like that, I guess it will be cool. I don't know why it doesn't have a title. I'm pretty confused by this. I got to be honest. I mean,
So it's funny. The start of this trailer, I thought it was going to be a Kingsman game. I'm like, that's just weird. They're going to make a Kingsman game because they're showing them having the tailored suit and the way they're talking, and then you know, once it got a little further in, I'm like, oh, okay, nope, John Wick. All right, Roger that. That makes way more sense. So
yeah, it's. I mean, I'm just kind of like. okay, but like, why doesn't it have a title? Why isn't it just called John Wick or John Wick the game or John Wick? I'm thinking I'm back, or you know, John Wick, second dog. I don't know, something, but just totally untitled. It just feels like they're testing the waters. It's like we have some interns. We force them to use AI to make some. Not that this is AI, but I'm just making a joke. We force them to make a CG trailer. We're gonna put it out. We're gonna see if people care and want this, and then we're gonna make a game. So it's like three. It's actually like 3 years away, but we're just gonna test the waters. I'm kind of like, okay, cool. I mean, if it's good, it's good, but I need to see more than just a CG movie.
Yeah, they did make a John Wick game in the past called John Wick Hex,
Oh,
which is much different game than this. Um, this is actually done by Saber Interactive.
okay.
So yeah, they're the ones who did was it most recently the Space Marine 2. Uh, so they kind of work with a lot of different IPs. I mean, I think they did the Tomb Raider remastered, and I think they did the Quiet Place game that came out, doing the Clive Barker's Hellraiser game.
Okay.
So a lot of different things. A lot of I'm not doesn't speak too well for necessarily that it's going to be like the best quality, but none of the stuff they mentioned is bad. So it's just kind of weird. The way I look at it is they're like a restaurant that does a lot of things, opposed to a specialty restaurant that only does one thing. So yeah, I'm not 100% sure. John Wick does look younger, so it's
Maybe a prequel
um,
or something like that.
kind of that's getting to be like the legend that he becomes, and that makes more sense because you kind of, if you want to know, if you already can watch the movies,
Hmm.
so to have him start his career or something like that might be more interesting. I mean,
Well, there's plenty
that's
of like, I mean, that's the whole thing is like what you're seeing in the movies is the second part of the story. The first part of the story of his life is him being like this badass assassin that, always gets the mark or whatever. So,
you're
yeah,
gonna watch him write top with a pen, right?
yeah. So there's plenty of stuff that you can do there. So it kind of makes sense, but I got to see gameplay. I got to see gameplay or else I can't really judge whether or not it's going to be anything at all. Next up, we see a bit more of Marathon by Bungie. Um, they got called out a while ago because people didn't like the look of the game, and they admitted that they missed the mark or whatever, so they took it back. And it seems like they have. Seems like I'd seen some some screenshots of where they'd upgraded before, but before this, and it seems like they have at least gone back and messed around with some things. I guess it looks better. But they did announce they're having a server slam, February 26th through March 2nd. So download it, jump on the servers, slam those servers to test them, I guess, for them if you are into Marathon or think you might be.
I mean, Bungie knows how to make a shooter, so and nothing else.
I mean, you can tell just from the gameplay that the shooting is going to be good. Like or at least not bad. Like you go like, okay, that looks like I can just already tell that the controls for that are just tight because it's Bungie, that's their bread and butter, and yeah, it's just a matter of if the other gimmicks and stuff in the game are good. Next up, they announced several games that are coming to the game catalog for Sony. So, Spider-Man 2 coming February 17th. Um, so that's there. Spider-Man 1 is already on there, which I still have not played. I need to play that someday. And then Tekken Dark Resurrection, originally for the PSP, is going to be coming in March. So if you're a Tekken head, then you can enjoy that. Time Crisis is coming in May, and then
That's wild, dude. I just can't believe they're bringing Time Crisis. It's They expect you to play with your DualSense controller. Like, I
How?
why?
Yeah.
I mean, they need to make it so you can play it on PSVR, uh, so you can actually feel like a little like using one of those controllers and just feel more natural, but without using an actual like
Laser gun.
gun controller, like
Yeah.
a gun con like they originally came with. Uh, I just why would you want to play it just feels so weird. The concept of it just mind-boggling, just holding a controller and trying to aim that way, uh,
I mean,
not satisfying at all.
I don't I don't really like to do this because I think it's a bit of an invalid question most of the time, but I think it might be valid at this point. Who's asking for this? You know, who's asking? I mean, Time Crisis, classic game, blah blah, but I mean, it's a very old game, and this is not the way it was quote meant to be played. Maybe they've adjusted stuff to it, and they're gonna make it fun. It's just very. It's like okay, um, I guess. Thanks for putting it in my catalog that I'm already paying for.
Well, the way I look at it is I'm hoping that this means it comes out to PC and PC has LCD gun con options.
Yeah,
There's a lot of third party controllers out there that mimic the old arcade gun style. And so that I can see, and it's a preservation thing, right? Like, okay, great. The amount of money that like young me put into the arcade machine for Time Crisis
yeah,
was through the roof. And that game was freaking hard because that one actually had to worry about the timer. That's the thing is like as the games went on, the time portion really wasn't a big thing. But the early one really was. And I remember hooking up, buying the home version for the PlayStation and having the GunCon controller because at the time it was only Time Crisis 2 and Point Blank, which was like I think it was Gun Barrel. Um, but yeah, it's just like those were the only two games, and I bought one, my buddy bought the other, and then we had two controllers so we could play Point Blank together at least. And yeah, there wasn't a lot of gun games that really worked with it, but hey, it was cool as heck. But when we were able to play it, so that's why to play with a controller just super weird. But that means if it comes, I'm hoping that means it comes to PC, and if it comes to PC, that means there'll be better ways to play.
yeah, yeah. And then the last one they mentioned here is Big Walk is coming in 2026. This is I they've talked about this game before. It's a weird looking game. It looks like it might actually be really fun in a weirdly really weird way. The developers are the same people that did what's the name of the game? Um, really critical darling puzzle weird game. I can't think of the name of it. You'll probably find it at some point, but
Oh, Untitled Goose Game.
oh yeah, it is that guy. Okay, it's them. I thought it was a different game I was trying to think of, so I was wrong there. But yeah, people that did Untitled Goose Game. This is very different from that. It seems like, but still weird. So I guess it fits their wheelhouse. But yeah, this one, I think it's probably smart that it's coming to the catalog. Because I don't think it's out yet, right? Like Big Walk is not already released. Is it? Did it get released?
I don't see it here listed on their wiki page at least. So
Okay, so if it didn't actually get released yet, which I don't think it has, but and
it
if
just
it
says 2026.
yeah, if it's getting released and it's going straight to the catalog, it's probably a good thing because I think it's a bit of a weird game and it needs to and it's like multiplayer. It's like that's the crux of it. So um yeah, it needs to have to like hit a pretty wide audience, with um low barrier to entry. So that's probably why they're going straight to it. So yeah, we'll see when that actually hits. But yeah, so those are things that are coming to the game catalog. Um,
The development team is a House, and the other game that they did was Push Me Pull You,
okay,
and it's like in uh it's kind of like was that Cat Dog, but looks like two people. So
okay,
yeah, so like back to back Human Centipede.
all right. That's what I wanted to think about. All right, next up, Saros new gameplay. They showed some new gameplay and looks pretty good. I think you're pretty well set to play this one, right?
I like Housemarque games. They're really solid. They know what they're doing. I like a good bullet hell. Um, I'm really curious about this one, though I didn't get to play a lot of the last game they came out with, and I'm forgetting the name. Starts with an R.
Returnal.
Thank you. Yeah, Returnal. So yeah, I didn't get to play as much of that as I'd like, but I came to the PlayStation later, and it
Yeah.
had already been around for a while. So though Returnal, I think they did end up making it multiplayer, and so I'm actually kind of curious to go back in there and play that. But yes, the idea of having this be like a run based and get you grow stronger and stuff like that. I'm like, you know what, that sounds just like them, and it's a good. I think it's a good solution because their games are notoriously challenging, and we'll see. I mean, I think that's why a lot of people bounce off of Returnal. Is just a little too hard for a lot of people.
Mm.
Um, but if you have a better progression system, then that might make people stick around just that much longer.
Yeah, if you know you're going to be able to keep progressing, then you're going to be like, okay, if I just kind of stick with it, maybe for a couple more runs, I know I'm going to break through. Yeah, so that Saros is still planned for April 30th, 2026. So coming right up. Um, Next up, Marvel took on Fighting Souls. This is the new sort of flagship Marvel fighting game from Arc System Works. Arc System Works does put out games pretty regularly. They have a bunch of different games kind of running around, and it seems like they have like one that they really put forward every couple years. That they seem to have multiple teams, I'm guessing, and it seems like they put their best foot forward on like one game every couple years, and this seems to be that one. It's really nice looking, really flashy looking. The combat, the fighting, and it looks pretty cool. I don't really shell out for fighting games very often. It's one of those things I've always mentioned is sort of I'm an aspirational fighting game enthusiast. I wish that I had time to really delve into fighting games way more. This one, I might try to get into the the Zeitgeist, and try to play this because I like Marvel. I like the aesthetic. I know Arc System Works is going to do a great job. So yeah, but this one just real quick, it's set to release August 6th, 2026.
Yeah, it'd be one of those games that if we get in right away, it'd be fun because then you and I have mentioned before, but like our skill levels in fighting games are pretty similar, so it becomes fun to learn simultaneously.
Yeah.
Uh, while because it's never fun to play with someone who's just a much better player because then you just get your teeth kicked in and you're like, yeah, what's fun about just getting my ass handed to me? Um, so yeah, if you want to get in on this, I'm game for sure. I got a fighting stick secondhand from a buddy of mine who doesn't play him anymore. It's like, yeah, sure, I'll use this.
Yeah, I've got a fighting stick too. And I don't know. I kind of think I think I might just abandon it and just because like every
So
time
with the hitbox now, are you going to grow up to what everyone else is using now? Like everyone says you have to.
everybody likes
For the,
hitbox. I mean, that was really taken over, especially in the Smash Brothers community. That was like sort of where it grew out of, I guess. No, if I have to think about the kind of controller that if I have to plug it in and make sure that it works, which isn't really that hard, but sometimes it does. You plug it in and it's like doesn't connect right, or you have to do some troubleshooting. I don't want to have to think about that, and um, I I would just rather turn the game on and play at my low, crappy level with a regular controller if I'm only going to play for like a little while. If I do, I think that's what I'm going to opt for to begin. And then if I do get if I do get bit by it and it's like, oh yeah, I'm just like really into this, and I want to get like way better. That's when I might pull out the fighting stick and start to try to get good, as it were. But yeah, I think just a lower barrier to entry or a lower friction with actually picking up the game is going to be the thing going forward for me. But I do. I mean, I wish that I just wanted to play on a fight stick because it's that's like the pure better experience, you know.
Yeah, I want to then kick your teeth in and then have you get angry and then buy a fight stick and then for me to just quit.
I've got a fight stick. It's just a matter of and I like it. You know, it's a Mayflash. It's a no slouch fight stick. Not the greatest, but it's no slouch. And yeah, I mean, yeah, if you do start to beat me, then yeah, I would be like, okay, now it's time to put Joe back in his place. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But if I can beat you on a regular controller, then you know that's just even more embarrassing for you.
I'll be like, "Oh, no, it's because it's the last model, blah, blah, blah. There's
Uh,
only gonna keep no firmware
my
update."
buttons are broken. I don't have the firmware. Yeah, it's funny. Okay. Next up, God of War trilogy remake. This was the voice actor for Kratos, the original Kratos, right? That was announcing this.
Yes,
Okay.
that is correct.
Okay. So yeah, so he basically said. So they basically had a. They basically flashed something up on the screen and said, "We're remaking God of War trilogy," and then the voice actor kind of came on and said, "It's going to be a while, but we're remaking it. So, you know, let us cook and we'll have this in, you know, eventually." But then they gave us something after that. But yeah, so, but first, what did you think of the announcement of a trilogy remake for God of War?
Um, I didn't think it was that big of a surprise. I mean, it's nice that they finally did it. I was trying to remember. I'm like, I don't think I actually played 3, or if I did, I didn't beat it. I know for sure I beat 1 and 2. I'm like, I couldn't remember if I played 3. So I was like, "All right." Um, I'm kinda curious, what they're all gonna change to it because it being a remake. I'm like, well, it's the games never really played that clunky, I didn't think. So, other than, making graphical polishes here and there. Yeah, I like the old God of Wars. They were a time and place thing, but they also kind of became mind numbing after a while because it was just mash away. It's people like there's a reason why people went from that to Devil May Cry because Devil May Cry had a little more finesse or style, as it were, because you end up getting those style points.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's like Devil May Cry was a little too much for me. Like I preferred the simplicity of God of War, but at the same time, like after you're doing the same like Cyclops eye gouging for the upteenth time, you're like, okay, I'm kind of done. Um, so yeah, I don't know. It's just I hope they hit streamline some of that. I hope they just make I think they know what the people want. So I'm kind of all right with that. To be honest, though, I couldn't remember what the original voice actor sounded like anymore.
Mm.
So that's why I was like, all right, they have him. It's fine. It's great. I'm glad they're showing respect to the original. It is kind of nice that they just didn't like override Kratos and like, no, no, everyone knows the new Kratos, and forget you. So but at the same time, the original voice actor might be more cost effective. Uh, so
Ah, that's what I was thinking. I didn't want to say it out loud, but yeah. Yeah, it's because like yeah, the original voice actor might not quite have, might be a little bit more free, have a little more time free than the new guy or whatever. But yeah, you never know.
Yeah, but it's once again, it makes more sense, shows a little more respect. It's the right PR move to do. And any fans who are still like hung up or still really remember the original, still have their copies on their shelves kind of thing, like they would appreciate it more. And that's what the remake is more for, is for them, because anyone else who didn't really want to play an old copy of God of War would have just gotten a lore dump, on YouTube and then just been, okay, that's what I'm missing from my current God of War franchise. Roger. All right. So
Roger that. All right. Yeah. So they announced that, and then they go straight into the last announcement of the state of play that they so God of War. Sons of Sparta, which is an action side scroller prequel to the original God of War games, and and they announced that it's available immediately. So it had it came out and looks okay. Looks like it's had a little bit of thought put into it, but also just sort of felt like a little bit of a holdover. Like it's like we're remaking the God of War trilogy. We're gonna give that to you eventually, but today we're gonna surprise you with a little something that you can sort of sink your teeth into if you're just raring to get back to some kind of God of War IP.
Yeah, they've recently, like I said, this isn't the first side scroller that they talked about, like in this showcase, with the Legacy Cain. And then this all kind of follows after that Terminator 2, game. So that had come out just not that long ago.
Right.
So it seems to be the new trend to like, you know, uh make the current like a little retro side piece, which is fine. I think if it's done well, I don't really know how I feel about the whole Sons of Sparta because I yeah, I mean it seems like a much more simplistic game. Didn't feel like more it's just a side scroller action opposed to a Metroidvania style game. Uh so like a Ghost and Goblins, or something like that. So I feel that they have to pull more out. They just did a quick showcase, so maybe there's a lot more ingenuity, maybe more weapons, something else. I don't know.
I mean,
Here.
I mean, I think that these kind of games have just gotten so easy to make um, that, like, I mean, like when you start looking at like game jams and when you start getting into making your own games and stuff, that's basically where you start is a side scrolling platformer of some kind. And if you can add a weapon to it, that's not that much more. So if you got a bunch of like interns or new hires and you need them to get something to do, and you need a little bit of money to be made, but you're not sinking that much time and money into it, then it's a good way to like throw a bone to the fans. Just a little bit of a calm down, fans, we're getting to you sort of thing that you can point back to kind of as a political move and say, hey, we did this for you, because fans are very much like, what have you done for me lately? And I think that satisfies it a bit. But yeah, I don't, it doesn't look like it's too much. It doesn't look like it's going to break the bank, or be just a whole lot to write home about. But it's something to give to fans.
Yeah, I always remember um the Mummy was it Demastered game, which was that Tom Cruise Mummy video game tie-in, which didn't have Tom Cruise in it, just had generic Soldier Man, one of many, and it was better than it had any right to be. It was far better than the movie. So that I think that's kind of where a lot of this like comes from in my brain. It's like, well, so long as you put a modicum of effort into it, it can turn out pretty solid. Um, so yeah, I mean that's why when it comes to these, I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty hopeful. Nonetheless, I always do like the Metroidvania style games. Side scrolling action games are just fine too. There's nothing wrong with it. Sometimes it's they're nice just to take a load off. You don't need to have a butt ton of configuration
Yeah.
controls. It doesn't need to be super difficult. Just take it easy, keep it simple, have a good time.
Yeah, not everything has to be like, ultra game of the year contender or whatever. There's some stuff that can just be like, okay, this is a couple bucks. This costs a couple bucks, and I had a couple decent hours with it.
All right. Yeah, let's see here. All right, well, that's it for the state of play. So let's get to what we've been playing. All right. So what we have been playing, Nick, why don't you take us from here?
Okay, so I uh, I started playing a little game called Cairn. I think that's how it's pronounced. Um, So this game came out middle late January. There was a demo for it a while ago, and I just sort of ignored it. But it did seem sort of it caught my eye, but I was like, I just kind of ignored it. And I was gonna just sort of bypass this game, but there really wasn't very much to play, and it was getting. I noticed that it was kind of the new hotness, and so people were playing it quite a bit, and I was like, okay, I'll give it a try. So I buy it, download it, and start to play it. And I really like this game. I really like this game a lot. Um, I it took me about 18 hours to beat. I think a standard playthrough is supposed to be like 12 to 13 hours. I don't even think that's necessarily like a speed run or like a straight run, but I did quite a bit of extra stuff, I guess, in it without maybe realizing it. But basically, what this game is a rock climbing or mountain climbing game, um, and it's I think um, so you mentioned in one of your texts to me that it's like quap. So like each one of the person's limbs is sort of you move them like independently, and yeah, I think quap is way harder. I mean, I've only played quap like for like maybe 180 seconds in my whole life, but it is sort of similar in that regard. I would say a little bit, but this is a lot kinder, but still some of the same. I don't know. That's just sort of a funny comparison, I think, more than an accurate comparison. Um,
Yeah, well, janky as hell from when I played it. So I was yeah, I think I have a less favorable impression than you did, but then again, I'll admit that I'm probably not in the right mood to play this game. And that is the key takeaway, I think, as I've come in. So you have to come into it wanting to play this specific type of game this specific way.
okay,
Uh,
so yeah, what? Yeah, some of your text to me, you expressed dissatisfaction with the game, and I think that that is fair. I definitely grew to like this game way more in the last half than I did in the first half. Um, yeah, Jank. If Jank was an art form, I remember thinking that in about like hour 6 or 7, I was like, if Jank was an art form, then this would be it. It is this game, it tells you the basic rules, but it doesn't tell you the deep rules. It doesn't tell you the deep ways that the game works. And that leads to a lot of frustration. I'll say it. Yeah, that leads to a lot of frustration in the early parts, especially. Um, but because there's points where you start to climb a wall, you're climbing around, you're doing your thing, and you fall off because you don't really understand the way that the game wants you to do it and why. And I haven't done very much rock climbing in my life, but I have done like a little bit here and there. And I think that the developers of the game wanted it to feel like real rock climbing, even if the maybe some of the logic of it doesn't really pan out exactly like that. They wanted it to feel like that. And I think that a lot of stuff that they try to do is like, well, this isn't the way that rock climbing maybe really works, but this is like if you could video gameize the way that you're supposed to do things in rock climbing and punish you for when you do things incorrectly in rock climbing, which is kind of hard to wrap your head around, but the reason why I think that is because as you go further along in the game, you start to realize that like certain handholds basically are worth different amounts of like a point system, or they cost you less stamina, and I think that there's a threshold going on in the background that you don't get to see. But basically, what seems to happen is if you make the wrong handhold and or foothold too many times in a row, it starts to accrue a mistake meter, and once you hit that mistake meter that's too high, that's when you fall. It has things that like warn you, but they're pretty subtle. Um, so
So I don't think in my couple hours of playing, it was I just attributed to a stamina meter. And so instead of being a mistake meter, it's a stamina meter that you don't get to see. They'll show you a health meter. So when you're injured, you're bleeding at the end of your health meter because it's as if it was some Castlevania game where like you're not at full health, and so the end of your health bar is dripping blood. And I'm like, okay, but you can't show me a stamina meter because, granted, yes, it makes sense that if you're not gripping on a stable surface, or if you're overextending yourself too far, it makes sense that you're burning stamina, and it makes sense that you're going to you'd prefer to be on a horizontal ledge and with proper feet placement. But it doesn't show you squat. And then sometimes when you're reaching, instead of going slowly and then being able to rest in your spot, it'll all of a sudden burn away like almost instantly, but you're in proper footholds. Heck, I'm in the training spot in proper footholds, and it just eats away like instantly, and then you drop. I'm like, this is not correct. And I'm like, I wish they had a stamina gauge. I wish they at least let you visibly see something else. I have the option, because you can have the option of playing with no HUD at all. Like, yeah, just like real life, I guess. But I just thought it was a pointless difficulty issue that they could have just simply solved by having a stamina gauge, but they didn't want to show you how they were behind the scenes trying to screw you over.
I think that each limb has its own stamina. As I got further in, it really was like toward the end, maybe like the last quarter, that I really started to understand more of how the game worked. And um, and so what I kind of figured out, there's like one really difficult wall that you have to get over. I think it's the most difficult point in the game, and it's not at the end. At least it's there's things about the end that are very difficult, but there's also things that make it easier. But this one particular wall, probably about 80% of the way through the game, that is where I had to grow a lot and kind of discover a lot of things. And but it was actually even after that where I started to realize that you can, if you don't hold if you don't if you don't hold things right, and if you don't release pressure on a particular limb in time, then you can burn it out even if you don't realize it. And yeah, it's a bit irritating. I think maybe a color change for the limb, even if it's fairly subtle, would be a pretty big help. If you went from like neutral to like yellow to red, um, for a particular limb, I think that would probably be it would probably make it too easy. I really think, but it would at least get you in. Um, it would at least kind of get you in the early parts of the game, make you feel like you understood sort of what's going on. I think that would have been fine for like the first half of the game, and then they would be like, okay, we have to take that away now because reasons. But maybe they just felt like they couldn't. I don't know, but yeah, like I the first couple hours, first probably up to 6 hours even, there were times when I would fall off of off of a climb, and I would just scream at my TV, why? Just like having really no idea, and um, which that's really frustrating. But um, learning how it works and sort of intuitively and kind of growing from that was pretty satisfying, and I did enjoy that. You did bring up that the limbs, like not being able to see your limbs, and sometimes it auto choosing the wrong limb is like really irritating, and that is very true. You, especially early on, it's pretty inexplicable why it's picking the limb because so just for anybody who hasn't played, so let's say you get a handhold, so you reach out and you grab with the right hand. Well, the game automatically picks, by default at least, it automatically picks what it thinks the next limb you need to move is, and it's usually pretty good. To be fair, it is usually pretty good, but it's only right about, early on it's only right about like what you would think like 60% of the time. Later on, you start to understand what it's going for, and it feels like more like it's right about 90% of the time once you pick up what it's really doing. But early on it's kind of inexplicable. You're like, I want to move my right hand and then I want to move my left hand, but it's like right hand, oh, now it's time for your left leg, and you're just like, what? Why? And that can cause you to fall, or at least have you lose track of what you're really doing. And if you have a limb that's just sitting out there, and you're waving it around because you think you're supposed to be moving your hand, it can cause you time and it can cause you to fall. And yeah, it is definitely a game that is it's definitely a game that you want to go into with a lot of patience. I do think that this game is actually a pretty good candidate for a podcast game or even like a second screen, like TV show you don't care maybe that much about kind of game, because it's very quiet and it's very much about just like climbing.
Yeah, so I looked this up and it turns out that a lot of people are talking about like manual limb selection is necessary for this, and the fact that when for my limited time playing, I felt like it just make more sense to go in a clockwise order and then just have a cancel function if you didn't need to. Like because there is a cancel function, but that's like you're in the middle of moving, you cancel and you whip back to where you were before. Uh, and so, for example, I'm climbing up, left hand up, grab, great. Right hand, I put it right next to my left hand because it's a small ledge. I move my legs up, and then I'm going to go ahead and grab, use my left hand again because I'm moving in like that kind of direction. Next thing I know, it's moving the same limb that I just moved. I literally just moved it, and it's like, yeah, let's move that one again. I'm like, why? I just moved you to where you needed to be, you dumb thing. And so it just made it like if you just went a clockwise rotation, that would have been so much more intuitive. And instead, here I am trying to move, thinking I'm going to move the next logical step. Like, oh yeah, I'm going to go ahead and move my arm, in the direction that I've been moving in. And they're like, no, 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 you have to move something else that doesn't have the reach that you're looking for. And next thing I know, I'm moving up and to the left, and my right leg is trying to, skip across my entire body,
Mhm.
like I'm doing some weird yoga pose. And it's just like that's why it looked like quap to me because your legs are kicking around like
Yeah.
360 in a weird way. I'm like, okay, this looks silly. Now, for what the game is trying to do is it's trying to be its own little like like mind game zen moment kind of thing. I feel like the scenery is beautiful. You're just kind of you're just you and the mountain as it were. As you say piffy things to a dead corpse, you look at the mountains, you go to get the mountain. Sometimes the mountain gets you, and I'm like, really, really, all right, fine, whatever. It's just I, I'm like, I don't have the patience for you, is what I do right now. So it's like this game is not the kind of chill that I want right now because I don't want this. If you are in a time where you're like, yeah, I want to spend a nice evening looking at stuff and having a uh dilemma of frustration of controls. And cool, this is a great night for you. Um, now, I didn't get a chance to play around with too much of the actual other controls to the game. So that and it has survival mechanics a little bit,
Mm,
and then the whole cooking mini game. I'm like, cool. You're taking all the things that sucked about Breath of the Wild and you're putting them in here.
yeah.
You know, you get to climbing, you get to stamina, you get to feed yourself, you get to worry about the elemental cold. I'm like, oh yeah, and your stuff breaks too. Sweet. Yeah, it's just like
Yeah, they are putting that stuff in to um, try to force you to go forward. They're trying to um, force failure states on you because otherwise it would be it would probably be too easy to like just kind of to farm more or less or to just kind of try the same thing over and over again. I do feel like they should have put in more save states. I was kind of nervous at the end of the game. There's a couple points at the end of the game where I was like, if I mess up very badly here at all, um, then I may be stuck at the end of the game. Like because because you can only go back so far. At least as far as I could tell, you can only go back so far to a different save point, and there is a food concern, there is a water concern, there is a heat concern, and they don't just get there's not a place where you can just farm food or farm whatever you need. Like it seems like there's a world in which you can just get stuck. Um, and that had me nervous. I think that there needs to be at least 3 save states. You need to be able to go back at least 3 save points or so many hours or to a checkpoint where you can know that there's enough food, blah, 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 so you can continue on from there. Because I don't want to get, 16 hours in this game, get totally stuck, and then have to just replay the game, from the beginning.
oh,
That wouldn't work.
the other stupid thing about this is your inventory is just a jumbled mess of garbage, literal garbage. Like, you're like, okay, you have limited inventory space. You know how you're gonna how set up your inventory? You're gonna set it up like a darn crane game machine, and you're like, okay, I'm just gonna throw pocket change in there. I'm throwing one thing of ramen, two candy bars, and like 4 bottles of water or something like what the living crap. Like, I'm gonna climb this mountain now with almost no supplies. Oh, by the way, I have this futuristic little robot buddy that can climb anything, but he's not carrying squat because I guess they carry the rope that doesn't help you when in times when you need it. So it literally is just like it's there to observe you as you die. This is like your found footage. Is this darn robot? Uh, I'm like, why can't you have like 3 robots and then those robots will literally be your Sherpas? Okay, then you don't have to worry about squat. At least you can worry about the climb itself. Um, that whole part was just really dumb to me. I'm like, it made no sense. To like, yes, I'm gonna have to buy my supplies from a vending machine as I climb this mountain that like almost no one ever like no one's ever climbed it before, and only 40% of people make it back down. Like, so
Yeah,
dumb.
it is a little bit far fetched for that because I don't, I don't know if this was intentional. But the name of the mountain is Kami. So Kami. So if you have ever watched an anime ever before, then you probably know that Kami is Japanese for God or gods. Um, I wonder if that was intentional. Because the game does get to be, I don't want to say it's not hardcore spiritual, but it does have a little bit of a spiritual element. It is a bit of a games as art sort of thing. And that's sort of where it sort of starts to go toward the end is it doesn't say like it doesn't really come down on like there's a god or we're all in one universe man or whatever or anything hippie like that, but I do wonder if that was part of the writing for it. Yeah, a lot of the things that you're talking about you're seeing them as bugs, and I'm seeing them more as features. I think that I did see a lot more of those things as bugs as I started to play the game, and it was really irritating. And so I think that if you're the kind of person that looks at this game and tries this game and is just like, nope, this is too irritating, too annoying, then it's fine. It's just back out. But if you're the kind of game, or if you're kind of gamer that kind of wants, um, I don't know, to be irritated for a while, but to figure it out, or to kind of grow, I guess, without having to be told how it all was supposed to work, then this game might be for you. I think if you're a games as art person, I think that you kind of should probably play this game. Um, but yeah, it's not for everybody. It's definitely not for everybody. And yeah, some of the stuff I did find the climb bot. While I do like Climbot a lot as a character, it is kind of silly. It's sort of like uh, this thing, I don't know. It's just sort of like it's just a conceit for you to be able to climb this impossible mountain, to climb mountain alone. Because whenever people climb Everest and stuff, they do it in a big group, and they have tons and tons of help and all that stuff. So you can't really climb mountains like this alone, just because it's too insanely hard. But yeah, man, I had some tough times with it, but there's some times later on where it's like, okay, I know what I'm doing, but man, or at least I kind of know what I'm doing, but this is still so hard. This is still just really, really tough, and you're not sure that you're going to make it. And that is where the game, I think, is pretty fairly balanced. The only thing I would say is the save points need to go further back, but otherwise, definitely a game I really liked. By the end of it, I mean, like, my score for it is an 8 out of 10. I think it does have some problems, but I really liked it a lot.
Yeah, I think that's an insane score for it. But I'm glad you liked it, and it was worth your money on that. I think I would rather. I understand the goal, the joy and goal of overcoming a difficult game and then getting to the end and be like, yeah, I did it, I accomplished that. Because that's the premise of a Souls game. I mean, that's we've we've made a whole we've got like a whole generation now of new gamers who've been raised on these kind of games. So that's fine. But like I said, this is jank enough, and I would rather have played for the story, for the visuals, enjoyed this game as a walking slash climbing simulator, as opposed to actual uh their janky climbing version. Or I'd it's like as much as I would dislike it, I think I'd still rather play this as an Uncharted climbing simulator. Like
Hmm. Where
Uncharted
you're just
games,
jumping like a gibbon from like rock to rock.
hey, no backpack, just jumping jumping 12 feet straight up, whole body length and a half straight in the sky. That makes just as much sense as this in a lot of ways because once again, uh, it's just like the whole survival aspect. I'm like, no, I can deal. I don't need that. Granted, you can turn all this stuff off with the um, accessibility modes, and I'm like, even with that turn on, it's still not fun. It's like it is like I said, it's like also it's probably the fact that I'm just not in the mood for it.
No, yeah.
Um, but I would the visuals, I actually the art style, I love it. The first time you hit nightfall, the first time you hit camp, some of the things you can do, it's just like it's that isolation, that all is great as far as story elements and giving you the right vibe.
Mhm.
Um, but none of the climbing made it feel like uh, she was truly alone or she's truly overcoming something difficult. It's just more like I need to make it to that crack, like in between the rocks, and I'm trying to get there. And here I am throwing the wrong limb, or here I am trying to stretch, and I'm getting fatigued. So I'm trying to rest. The moment I come out of rest, I instantly fall. I'm like, then why'd you let me rest? I mean, uh, there's just enough loading time to make it irritating too. And it's just like,
The worst is when you get a piton or a python, a piton, whatever, in the rock, and you fall as you're trying to get the rope through, and you die. I've definitely had that happen before.
yeah, and you get a trophy for it because it's like too late or something. I forget now, but it
Oh,
was just
you also get a trophy. I don't know if you got this one, but you also get a trophy for trying to keep your bag organized. If you move enough stuff around, it'll give you like a bronze, and it'll say you really thought you could keep your bag organized or whatever. And there is a level of organization to it. I don't know. I found the bag to be as funny as it was annoying, and I found it to be very annoying and very very funny.
yeah. But you also like wrestling, so I'm all right with
I
us
don't like
disagreeing.
wrestling. I like people
You love
talking.
wrestling. I'm
I
sorry.
like
Okay.
people like people talking about wrestling. Um, yeah, I could never get into wrestling, but
So that's the thing. So, like I said, the fact that they make fun of their own game, they know the jank, and that's supposed to be built into it. I'm like, okay, that's great for you, not for me. I mean, once again, it's you can manually maneuver items, uh, not well, but you can click in single items and move them around,
yeah,
and then let gravity fall. Just because sometimes there's a big gap due to, certain a bottle or something like that. I'm like, yeah, it's
there.
like, why do you have to pick up a garbage item and then destroy it? Why can't you just pick it up and have the robot destroy it for you? Because that's technically what you're doing is you're picking up an empty water bottle. You can destroy it, and it shows the icon for the robot taking care of it. So why put it into your inventory like for a piece of garbage?
I
Your
mean,
camera.
so the reason for that is because what you're doing is composting it, and you can only hold so much chalk in your bag, and when you compost it, it turns into chalk. So I see why they do that. It's also sort of weirdly kind of annoying, I guess, but I can also see why they do that. The last two things I'll say about it, well, I forgot the other thing, but I guess so. I guess the last thing I'll say about it is that there's not very many games like this. Uh, there's not very many climbing games. There's not very many games that really. I mean, there's plenty of games as art. That's sort of more of a thing nowadays, and there's plenty of games that are like, oh, I grew and I learned stuff by the end of the game. But that the game that has sort of all of that element, all of those elements are is kind of rare. Um, and so I at least appreciated that this was sort of a different kind of game from one that I usually play and one that I usually see, and so that definitely helped the score as well.
Yeah, I mean, back in 2018, there was a little game called Celeste. You climbed a mountain. Uh, Games as an art touches on deep themes and issues that weren't common back then. Uh, so The Simpsons did it. You know, not-
Mm,
I mean, granted, it's a very
probably did.
different style of climbing game, but at the same time, it's uh, just to hit all the check boxes you said. Uh,
I mean, yeah, nothing is really new under the sun, but I don't think that. I mean, I don't know. Like in Celeste, where was it as
no,
difficult
it
to
was
get the
Super Meat Boy.
handholds?
Super Meat Boy.
Yeah,
It's hard to get the right jumping platforming, but at the same time, it had a very different art style.
yeah.
And that's the thing is, this game looks pretty. Cairn looks pretty, and it's just like, yeah, I can see where the appeal is. Um, I just wish it wasn't as janky, or if there was a better way. It's like it's a lot of Steam, comments stuff like that, where it's all keyboard based. Well, and like, well,
I
when you
actually
can map out the keys a lot more easy to controls and stuff, that makes way more sense.
Yeah, I actually wonder if like a mouse would be better because there is an accuracy element to this. If you place like so you're hovering your hand around when it's free, right? And if you place your hand or your foot, if you have it aimed incorrectly, then that can start to count against you if you aim it too incorrectly, and if you're putting pressure on other things. So I was wondering about halfway through the game. I was like, I wonder if you had a mouse, if you could. if you would actually be better at this, because you could a mouse and a cursor, you could say, I want the hand to go on this little dot and put it right on the ledge or the crevice that you're aiming for, and that would help. I don't know, but I just kind of wondered that.
Yeah, probably because I've done a number of times where I tried putting my foot on a rock or and then it would just be just underneath or like in a like here's this is the horizontal ledge or crack that it needs to go in and I'm either above it or below it.
Yeah,
And then next thing you know, my stamina gauge is like dropping way farther because I'm holding on a flat surface essentially.
you're
Um,
just pressed against the
yeah,
wall pretty much. I wanted to ask, did you use a lot of I don't know how to say this word, pittance or pitons? Did you use a lot of those between?
no, because in order to use them, it sucked because then you had to play that stupid little mini game in the middle of it. I'm like, that's a dumb mini game. And so I'm like, no, I'm just gonna do it without it, like most of the time. And that and the fact that I keep on forgetting about it.
Okay.
They it's like I tried using it before. Like I remember when they tried teaching it in the tutorial,
Yeah.
and then I started climbing the other obstacles because I did all 8, and I'm like just to get my
Oh, really?
bearings
Wow.
on it.
Okay.
Yeah, so I did all the obstacles in the beginning, not just the first 3, and then got the hell out. And it wasn't working for me. I'm like, okay, am I doing this wrong? I'm like, well, whatever. So I guess I'm wrong. And then it wasn't until later on I ended up trying it again. I'm like, okay, here it is. It worked this time for me. And then I forgot about that stupid mini game, and I'm like, all right, yeah, that's dumb. You can turn off that mini game apparently too.
Oh,
So
really? The mini game is like brutal sometimes because there are sometimes where it's like I got to get this in or whatever, and then you screw it up, and it works, but it's like you automatically break the piton, and then other times where you get it right, but the pitons only last so many times. I mean the timers on this game, the countdown stuff, the survival elements, they're when you start to notice how kind of brutal they are, you're like, oh crap, I gotta be like careful. Um, yeah, I enjoyed it a lot. I figured I didn't really know how you would take it. I thought you would be just okay with it, but I thought there might be a pretty good chance that you would kind of hate it the way that you seem to. So, anyway,
well, I mean, like I said, it's like I have a lot of patience for other types of games, and it's like if it's a slow game, that's fine. I've played my fair share of jank, but this is just in a combination in which I'm like, I just don't have the patience for you now. If I wasn't this time around, like I'm still playing Mio, and it's just like, Mio, I'm finding that way more satisfying than
wow,
my
okay,
time with Cairn. I mean, it's that is an easy enough game. That's a great second screen game too. Uh,
mm, yeah,
but it's I think with Karen, like because of the visuals, I'm like I kind of want to pay attention to that one more, have my more undivided attention on it, despite there not being a lot of talking. Uh, I do like to look at the map or like zoom out and then and you can pan up quite a bit and like look like okay cool there's some stuff over here on the far right but there's some stuff on the left side. Now you have to make a decision. All right, like how am I going to make it from one side to the other? And I'm like, at a certain point, I'm like, I kind of don't care. I just, like if you
yeah.
had a more simplistic series, simplistic system, I would be glad to just walk myself that way. Walk and just as for the experience to see and like, uh, have all the things that they have to say. But then they have like little little hidden things around. Like I went up one path, then I fell, and then I
Mm.
went up a different path, and then there was a little note saying like, "Hey, I climbed this spot when I was like 8 or something like that. Good luck," or something like that. Or I'm like, huh. That means there's going to be a whole slew of these along the way if you're on the right path. But if you're not, if you're just a little bit far over, I'm like, you know what, you suck. you know,
Yeah.
because I don't knowing that there's going to be a bunch of stuff that I'm going to be inevitably miss. It makes me just want to pull out a guide, and then if I'm just following a guide, then I might just go ahead and if I'm doing that kind of a step by step guide, I might as well just do a YouTube video and just
Just
watch
watch
some
it on YouTube. Yeah. Yeah.
completionist.
I think that's perfectly fine. Once you get a feel for a game and you're like, I just do not want to mess with. Like this is an evil that I just don't want to deal with. I'm just I'm out, but you still want to know what happens or whatever. That's fine. There is later in the game, not that you should spend all the time it takes to actually get to this point, but there's a point later in the game where you get to do ice climbing, and the ice climbing, um, I think that it's easier. It does have its own like difficulty, but I think that it's easier overall. But it also gives like an added element to the game. I think maybe if they introduced that maybe a little bit earlier, it might, or at least sprinkled it in a bit earlier, it might have made it a bit more dynamic, a bit more interesting, maybe for people who are kind of on the edge of playing. Um, but yeah, anyways, I just wanted to mention that before we move
Also,
on.
someone who has to freaking worry about thermal conditions. Why is she wearing shorts and bandaged her legs like a mummy? Okay.
Yeah, it's sort of like a Nickelodeon. To me, it's like a Nickelodeon cartoon. Like the way, like an old Nickelodeon cartoon. For some reason, it just reminds me of that. That they're stylized. It doesn't really make sense. It is cartoony, so I just sort of take it with a grain of salt. But yeah, like there's a lot of things that you're like, okay, why are you doing this? Why don't we have more of that or of this other stuff? Um, but oh yeah, I wanted to say that whenever you're talking about zooming out and looking at, because you can kind of plan your route out, um, that becomes pretty critical toward the end of the game. You almost have to cheat it. You probably wouldn't absolutely have to, but I was finding myself kind of having to cheat it using the route planning, and then you can press triangle after you do that, and it'll let you have like free roam of the camera, and the camera will, you can move the camera really far, not infinitely but really far, and at the end you're really struggling to find the right route before you literally die. um and so I had to use that a lot, but yeah, I mean, I found it to be a satisfying game, and but I definitely understand the frustrations with it.
Yeah, like I said, um I give it a 6. I mean,
Okay.
it's just straight up it's an all right game. But once again, maybe if I put more time into it, I'll actually, I like I said, I'm more curious about the stories it has to tell within it. You'll find corpses of other people, or you'll find, little hideouts and nooks. They have nice little in-game story bits like here and there. I'm like, okay, cool. You have me interested. It's fine. It's fun that they have like, yeah, here's a map, a previous climber's map that you can see, or it's like, here's just some remnants that of things that happened before. I'm like, okay, cool. I enjoy that, and I just don't see, like I said, there's just enough. If you're having to fight the game itself, it just means it's not. And I like I said, from what I've seen, everyone's recommending that you do manual limb you control and stuff like that, opposed to doing the auto limb, because it's like, if you have to set the settings away from your default because
Mm.
you built it wrong, uh, you know, there's
Well,
few games are like that where it's just like, like, no, you really should set these up from the start, these certain settings, because it just makes, the game wasn't optimized,
okay, okay. So the people that are saying that, I would question how far they actually got in the game and how much they understand it, because because most of the time the limb selection is correct. There are times where it's not, but most of the time that it is. And it took me a while to learn, though, but toward the end I was realizing, okay, the reason why it's picking that limb is because that is actually the limb that I should be using next. And it's like, well, there's nowhere to go with it. And it's like, okay, but that just really means that I had already screwed up. And when I started to realize, like when you go back and forth between two limbs, and you're like, I just did that limb, it's like what it's telling you is like, you messed up a little while ago, and you've run it into a point where that there really isn't an effective thing that you can do. You might think that there is, but the game is like saying, no, you're kind of at a dead end here, bro, and you've got to kind of mess with it. That's not 100% perfect, but I I wonder, to me, having to pick a limb every single time, or even it being clockwise, would slow it down a little bit too much. It would remove a little too much flow, um, to keep the game kind of kind of moving. It would be a little bit too crunchy at that point, but I don't know. Maybe there's people out there who would disagree with me, and who are really skilled and know what understand the game at a deep level. But that remains to be seen.
All right. Well, the key takeaway is my 6 is your 8. So, all right.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know what you'd give Mio, but I would give. I mean, I didn't really care for Mio. I don't even know if I would give it. I think probably a 6 is probably about fair because it does have some 6 7 maybe. It does have some some redeeming qualities. But yeah, there's just too much of Mio that's just too much like everything else.
I would have given it a 6. I've gotten to some more interesting parts where now it might be a 7.
Okay.
I don't think there's gonna be enough there to make climate any higher, unless if I really want to dive deep into the quote
And
unquote lore.
I think
But
I think it does
yeah,
speak to, like, everyone's got their brand of bullshit, and it's just like, yeah, I recognize that there's BS here, but I don't mind it. And then it's like another person's like, well, I really mind it, but this game's good. It's like, yeah, but that game has so much, BS in it, and then you kind of have to be, well, yeah, it's just kind of what that's just differences in people. Yeah.
all right. Yeah. So that's what we've been playing. Uh, at this point, we're getting a little late, and I think we're gonna have to cut the what we've been watching again. Uh, yeah, it's
I mean, it just means games are good. That's what that means. We can tease it at least. Uh, we're sometime we're going to talk about Fallout season 2 finale. And then we're gonna talk about a bunch of anime, and then I've watched a bunch of movies and stuff that we'll probably get to eventually. So it just means that it just means games are good, and we're gonna get to those things eventually.
yep. All right. Well, Nick, uh, what are the words of wisdom you have for the people out there?
Um, if you see somebody with blades for fingernails, just run, just run.
Take a closer look. They might just be playing the banjo, and it just might be that, you know.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Just run.
All right, guys. Well, this is ADP, another Dead Pixel. Thank you for making it this far, and until next time, y'all take it easy.
Bye.